Awesome. I'm just going to share my screen. And today is going to be short and sweet, like the Sabrina Carpenter song.
Cool.
Present. Awesome. So today we're going to talk about private AI with nilAI and nilGPT. And I'm Steph from Nilian. I was here on Monday presenting, but today we're going to go more into kind of like the AI side of what we're building and doing at Nilian. And again, I'm Steph. I'm Oceans404 on Twitter, and I lead developer relations at Nilian. And like I said on Monday, Nilian is building a blind computer. That is a compute network that has three different blind modules. It has private compute, which is nilCC, private LLMs, which is nilAI, and private storage, which is nilDB. So for AI specifically, we're going to be talking about nilAI and then a little bit more about nilDB, which we already talked about on Monday. We won't touch too much on nilCC, but nilAI is actually built with nilCC. So technically, when we talk about nilAI, we're talking about all three. nilAI provides private LLMs. And the private LLMs with nilAI are a set of OpenAI compatible APIs, similar to what you get from Claude or ChatGPT. But this makes it possible to run those same AI models, but instead of running them through one of the providers I just talked about, they run inside of one of Nilian's trusted execution environments within nilCC, which is our private compute environment. So that means that all of the different APIs exposed within nilAI are running within a trusted execution environment where we can't see anything that's happening within there. So this makes it possible to use nilAI to build completely private AI apps where all of the user prompts and questions and conversations stay private. And this is a slightly different slide than I used on Monday because there's always new images that show why we need privacy preserving AI. Karen Howe, in her book Empire of AI, said OpenAI staff also grew increasingly uncomfortable that they could read the conversations happening within ChatGPT. That's really scary. That's because ChatGPT preserves kind of a memory or has a ton of storage that is essentially mining data about you in order to improve the ChatGPT AI so that it delivers really personalized results. That is a double-edged sword, right? It's good and bad because all of that data means that the chatbot has better answers, but at the same time, where is that data stored? That becomes kind of a honeypot for hackers because there's a lot of personal information about anyone using ChatGPT that's stored somewhere. So a hacker could gain a lot, honestly, by getting access to that data. And we have no idea where or how it's stored. Hopefully, it's safe. This is kind of the Claude AI consumer offerings. I think it's the terms and conditions for how they train their models. So they say we may use your chats or coding sessions to improve our models. So not only is your data being stored, but it's trained basically for free. Um, if you've ever heard this saying, if you can't see the product, you are the product, you might be the product for Claude AI's consumer offerings because essentially your data is not only being consumed for your benefit to improve your conversations, but it could be being used to train the models that will make Claude AI a ton of money. And then this tweet from Linus says ChatGPT knows everything about you. This is also kind of just going into the amount of information that you can get if you ask any of these different chatbots, tell me some things that you know about me. I did that recently with ChatGPT. I said, draw a picture of me based on everything you know. And it was somewhat accurate. I mean, the physical description wasn't quite right, but all of the interests it had around me were completely accurate. It knew my family, it knew about my family, it knew about my dog by name, it knew about my different hobbies and things that I've been interested in. So all of these chatbots are kind of huge data mines for tons of things about you. And so that's why I think we need privacy preserving AI. And I'm here to actually present a solution for this because of nilAI. So Bankless recently did an article on us talking about how we're redefining private AI with nilGPT. nilGPT is an application built on top of nilAI that is a completely private chatbot. Uh, Over 50,000 messages have passed through nilGPT and they're private and completely secure. And it's even been used by lawyers, doctors, people who traditionally don't trust AI because of the lack of privacy and security. So that is pretty cool to me that people are using nilGPT because with all of the previous solutions, they had privacy concerns. But with nilGPT, they have a private AI solution that they can trust. So the core value proposition of nilGPT is what if your AI chatbot didn't spy on you? And so nilGPT is a totally secure AI companion and also chatbot. It has dual functionality, so you could talk to it and give it a persona like a friend or even a partner if you wanted to, or you could use it as a chatbot and ask questions. It has web search functionality. It can analyze images and PDFs, and it is very useful, to be honest. Let's look at nilGPT. I'll paste the link to this into the chat so you can also try it out. Where did my Zoom go? I lost you. So I just pasted the link for nilGPT into the chat, and I'd love if you all tried it because it's free, but I'll also go through it with you here. Okay, so we're in nilGPT now. Let me just maximize this screen. Okay, I think you can all see it. Okay, so I'm within the landing page. Now we're closer to even 60,000 messages that have been secured. So to chat, all you have to do is sign in. I'm signed in right now. Um, I'm just going to use a passphrase. Okay, so I'll sign out just so that you can see the full flow. So you sign in or sign up. If you sign up, you can either sign up in a traditional Web 2 flow or continue with a wallet if you want to do a Web 3 flow. nilGPT is free right now, so you won't have to pay. The wallet will just serve as your kind of like pseudo-anonymous identity if you don't want to sign up with an email and a password. This sign up is meant to feel very familiar to someone who has no idea that there's kind of like decentralization or privacy or Web3 aspects happening with this behind the scenes. But I'll use a wallet just so that I can show you from scratch. I'm going to change my account to something that's never used this before. I'll just use ETH Online Demo because it's a relatively new account for me. I used this for the hackathon last week. And so the first thing it asks you to do is create a passphrase. This is how all of your data will stay encrypted throughout when you're using the app. It's also still going into nilCC, which is the confidential compute environment, but the data that passes back and forth can't even be seen within nilAI or nilCC because you are personally encrypting it with your passphrase. So anything that's shown is transformed into kind of something where no one can see it except for you. To keep it really simple, I'm going to make my passphrase ABC and then use that as the unlock. And that is just so that I can show you that if I don't use that same passphrase, everything looks like gibberish because it's not able to be decrypted. So you can, like I was saying, you can use this as a personal assistant, a wellness assistant, a relationship advisor, a companion. These are all kind of like slightly different system prompts based on these things. A lot of people have kind of enjoyed it as like a companion. Honestly, that's been one of the most popular use cases because it's completely private. You can talk to it about your mental health, or relationships, or even pretend that it is someone you're in a relationship with. And as nilIan, because of this technology, we have no idea what people are saying to nilGPT. We just know that a certain number of messages have passed through it. So I can ask about, give me a plan for how to spend my time in Buenos Aires. I have, let's say, 5 days. So, similar to ChatGPT or Claude or anything that you've been using, it streams messages the same way. Um, I can say, oop, lost my cursor. Can you recommend a hotel in Palermo? And it's searching the web and getting current picks based on what it's finding on the web. And this is a very similar experience to anything you'd be used to, except for that it's privacy preserving. How about somewhere cute for a date night there? It's got the full context. I said, how about somewhere cute for a date night there? It knows that I was just asking about Palermo in Buenos Aires, so it's going to give me uh, things that are relevant, just the same way that a classic chatbot would. And I'm really focusing on how similar this experience is to what you're used to, because with nilGPT, there's no trade-off in user experience, but there's just a gain in privacy. And so you can see all of your different chats here. If I add another chat, I can start kind of like from scratch with however I want to use this. But if I sign out and sign back in, I'm going to continue with the wallet the same way I did before. It'll prompt me to enter my passphrase again. And remember, I used the passphrase ABC. If I change my passphrase and say DEF, unlock, and come over here and look at my chats, this chat looks like gibberish because it couldn't be decrypted with the current passphrase. So we can see that something has been stored about me, but this is what it was stored as in the backend. It was stored as complete gibberish and can't be decrypted with the current passphrase. So let me change my passphrase back to ABC because that was what that previous chat was locked and encrypted with. And when I change back, check it out. I can see everything that I had talked about before with that passphrase because all of those messages have been encrypted and saved and then brought back without the passphrase. And then I use my passphrase to decrypt the messages. And then I'm able to see all of the different content that and or messages that have passed back and forth before back to me. And these are all stored as little records inside of nilDB, which is our private storage module of the blind computer. So that's kind of how nilAI and nilGPT are, or sorry, nilAI and nilDB are working together. So nilAI is that blind module that's doing all of the LLM stuff. It's analyzing what you say, your messages, your chat here, and then responding. And all of those messages are stored in private storage, nilDB, so that in the off chance that someone got access to them, they would see the encrypted version, which would make absolutely no sense. And that's why nilGPT is super powerful. All of the things that you've talked about are stored. So we will never have a situation like this where staff at nilIan or anyone working on nilGPT will ever be uncomfortable about being able to see these messages because we literally can't. And even you can't if you change your passphrase because there's no way to decrypt all of the messages that have been sent unless you, as you, log in and use the correct passphrase. So there's kind of double security and privacy baked in because of that. So I know we are kind of like way ahead on time. I didn't have a ton today, and that's because I would love for you to use the rest of the time just on your own to play with nilGPT, and let me know if there's anything you find that you think could be improved, because we want this to be kind of like a first class experience and app that's super similar to the AI apps you already use, except for it has privacy baked in by default as the first most important feature of using this chat app. For the future of nilGPT, I would also love if you followed us on Twitter. We are just nilGPT with an underscore here. Um, we push out new features multiple times a week. The passphrase feature of like this new button is something that we've created like literally in the last few days. And this is so that you don't have to remember your passphrase. You can just auto use one if you want to. And you can kind of see more and more things about the things people are saying about this. It's been really positive so far, and the adoption, both from the Web 2 side and the Web 3 side, has been cool to see because as people discover this product, it's kind of hard not to be nail-pilled by the idea that you can get all of the features you're used to, plus the privacy that you've been wanting. So, yeah. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen and see if there's any questions. Someone said, awesome, only I can decrypt. Yeah, exactly. And I see a hand raised. What's your question?
Hello, good evening.
Hi.
So my question is that like I just came into the call now, but not like 5 minutes or 10 minutes ago. So my
Problem.
question is that does this nil GPT able will be able to generate code like code, or is it only good for text, writings, and all that?
Yeah, so that's a great question. It can generate code. We're actually working on something that's similar to Claude Code that could be a CLI that could generate code even better. None of these system prompts are specifically for generating code, but that's something that we're actively thinking about. The nilGPT model that's being used, I believe, is the Google Gemma one, and that is not a model that's specifically trained for coding. So we're working on adding more models that are coding specific so that more of these different tasks that you're used to can be done by nilGPT. So great question, and that's something that's coming soon. Carolina asked, so you train the model on additional data from the chats? No, so the model is not trained on any user data from nilGPT. The model comes as is, and we're not putting any of that information back in to train. And then, can nilGPT keep context of my chats, assuming I'm using the same passphrase? So if you're using the same passphrase, even if you're using the same passphrase, nilGPT only keeps the context of the current chat. So it's not keeping context between the chats. But that's an interesting idea. And if you had the same passphrase, maybe technically it could look at other chats. Let me talk to the team and find out more about that. Um, I think that the way it could work is if you wanted it to use context from other chats, you'd almost have to bring those chats in and give permission. But that's definitely possible. It's just not how it's working now. Awesome questions. Okay, so another question. So why is it better to use nilGPT than running a model on your laptop or server? The main reason is that running a model locally can be really compute intensive on your machine. I'm not able to do it on my laptop. I have a MacBook Pro. I think I could run a really small model, but I wouldn't be able to run a larger, more powerful model. The cool thing about nilAI is that it's running for you inside of a TEE. So you don't have to have those hardware constraints on your local machine, but you can still um, like make take advantage of the model. And then is there a limit on tokens? There's not right now. I think there's a limit behind the scenes that we're setting for nilAI, but nilGPT, the usage is super high, mostly because we're trying to get tons of adoption. So we are not limiting tokens as far as I know. There is a limit on the number of web searches it will do for you. But I think the limit to web searches is maybe like 10 a day per user, which is still pretty generous considering that it's free at this moment. And then someone asked, is nil composable with ZK proving systems? So interesting enough, there is an attestation that is provided for nilAI. Let me see if there's something on nilGPT about this specifically. But the attestation is kind of a proof that nilGPT is in fact running inside of a TEE. So there's not like a specific ZK proving system it's compatible with in that way, but any Nillian compute private service does give you an attestation that you can show to your users to prove that you're running in a private way, the way you say you are. Let me grab the docs on that so that you've got them. Okay. And Esther asked, so nilGPT is a wrapper, but main focus is the privacy. Yes. So nilAI is the service, and that it's a service where there's a model that's hosted inside of the TEE, and nilGPT is an app layer, kind of like application that is using the AI service, and nilGPT's focus is privacy. And that privacy is both from nilAI and from the UI you saw, where all of the messages stay encrypted because of that passphrase that's happening on the front end, making sure that only you can see all of the stored messages if you're able to decrypt them. Really great questions today. Thank you all. Sorry, that's my dog barking. Okay, I think that's everything I have today. I see another question. Is it available in other languages? Yes, you can use any language and it should reply back in the language you used. If you find a language that's not working, also please let us know because everything should work multilingual. But we definitely haven't been able to test in every single thing. Let me see if I say hola, what it says. Yep, it replied in Spanish. So Spanish has definitely been tested and some other languages of folks in our community. But like I said, if you find one that isn't working, please let us know. And I guess one last call out is I know a lot of you are going to do the hackathon in Buenos Aires, I think at Dev Connect. Oh, somebody said sign up is mandatory. Yes, it is, but you can use a wallet rather than an email and a password if you want to. So you can create a totally new ETH address that's only used for this. And there's no payment. So we it's free and it's pretty anonymous if you create a new account. Just so that we can kind of understand how many different people or different addresses are using the service. But like I was saying, if you're building during Dev Connect, I would love if you tried out nilAI. It's free both to use and to build with. You can get a free API key by going to our docs. Um, and we provide API access for free for that. I'll just paste that in just in case. And that way you can add private AI to any of the different things that you're building over the next few weeks. Somebody says I'm verifiably distracted by the dog. Yeah, he is back here, Teddy. I think he's a little blurry, but he's a big labradoodle. Thank you. ChatGPT knows all about Teddy. If you ask ChatGPT to tell tell me something about myself, it will say you have a dog named Teddy because half the things that I've asked are like, oh, he ate this or can he do this? So he has not been private on the internet, unfortunately. And someone said, am I going to Buenos Aires? Yes, I am. I'm not going this week, but I'll be there next week. And I'll be there for Dev Connect and a couple side events, ZKID Day, Noirverse, I think that's what it's called, or NoirCon 3, and some other kind of like ZK privacy and TEE events. Are you all going to be there? I see Diana, thumbs up. Ooh, Women in Web 3 Hub. Is that something that's happening inside of Dev Connect or is that somewhere else?
Yes, women in Web3 have will be in on the connect place in the rural.
Okay, awesome.
So Solen and another girls will be there to talk about different things to promote
I love that.
more women in this field.
Yeah, absolutely.
So any
I'm looking it
advice
up.
you have to ask because some of us we will going to there for first time in a big event of Ethereum. Some of us is our first time hacking. Do you have any advice for
Yeah.
us, please?
Yeah. So if it's your first time, um, I would say go kind of like pick a buddy or something and go everywhere with at least one person so that you're never completely alone. Um, Especially for the hackathon, go in with some knowledge beforehand. One thing that I like to do is go through the prizes ahead of time. So I think you mean the ETH Global Hackathon, right?
Yes, all the Dev3Pack members that will be in the village will be participate together for the hackathon.
Okay, so what I would do is look at the prizes ahead of time, and kind of know which prizes you want to target before you even start hacking so that you don't waste time on that. And if you're a developer, look at the prizes and go through the docs. So I like to do the quick starts, of any of the projects I might be using, just so that I know that I have something that I understand ahead of trying to do it in the hackathon. Because I don't know about you all, but I get so frustrated if something doesn't work and I can't figure out why. And I don't want to waste my time trying to build something in that doesn't work. So I like to do the quick start to make sure that I can confirm to myself ahead of the hackathon, like this technology works and I understand it so that I can incorporate it in my project a lot more easily. So that would be my main tips for building. But the other thing I would say is for all of those sponsors that you're targeting a prize for, talk to them ahead of Sunday. So, like, go up to the booth when it's a little less busy and ask them about the project and what they do. And then after you kind of like build rapport, tell them what you're building. So, say the name of the project, and why it's really cool, just so that you kind of have an in with them when they're judging, so that if they see your project, they go, oh, okay, this is that really cool project about whatever it is, and they don't just skim it over. There's tons of projects, so I feel like adding that personal touch with a sponsor can make the difference between like being memorable and winning the prize. So definitely do some networking ahead of when you go and pitch to the judges so that they remember you when they're kind of going through the projects. And then the other thing I would say to do is send a little thank you message after the fact, especially if you want to stay connected with that project and like apply to a job or something. If you're going to Dev Connect to try to get a job, I would say do something tangible with someone that's working there, either hack on their stack during Dev Connect or talk to them in person and then stay connected through Telegram and send follow-up messages. Don't be afraid to be too annoying. I feel like sometimes we as women feel like we're pestering someone if we reach out too many times. But the fact is, after these conferences, I think they can be really overwhelming. And then some people kind of like take a little break from their messages and come back, and they may accidentally read your message and forget to reply or something. So definitely keep following up with people and be like, hey, it was so nice to meet you at Dev Connect at whatever specific event. I'm still really excited about your technology. This is the project I built. I'd love to catch up next week. I'm applying to whatever job you're looking at, things like that, so that you kind of like stay top of mind to them because everybody is doing so many things that nobody is thinking about you as much as you think they are, maybe. So don't be afraid to follow up and like continuously put yourself in front of people. I think that's one of the things that I've learned, especially in Web3, that I wasn't doing before. You almost kind of like need to put yourself out there in a way that can feel uncomfortable depending on your personality.
Also, tips, Steph. I'm very glad that
You.
we have you here and share your
Yeah.
experience with us.
I'm really excited to see you all at the Women in Web3 Hub too. Are you going to be there the whole time, or is there like a specific time I should go and meet you all?
All the week we have a lot of activities in the Web3 Woman, but I think the I don't remember what time. Even me will we do
Okay.
a talk about privacy there, but I am very excited to meet more women in this field because
Yeah.
to we need to talk about privacy. We need to build CK projects to protect us because I think the women have a lot of issues in the real life, and we need to improve the technology with our experiences, not only for all the people, but we can build something specific for us.
100%. Totally agree.
Yes, and you is your first time in Latam or you are in Latam another time ago?
I've been to Latam before, but this is my first time in Argentina. And I'm gonna also, after the Dev Connect week, go to Patagonia and kind of like do some nature hiking and things. So I'm excited about that too. It'll be my first
Cool.
time doing anything like that.
Awesome.
So I'll be one of those people who will ignore my messages the whole next week, but it doesn't mean it's because I don't care about you. I'll check the next week, so be persistent if you DM'd me something.
Yes, we need to feel each time in Argentina with protocols, with people, with networking, with meet new people and more activities
Yeah,
there.
absolutely.
Gears, do you have any questions to Steph?
No worries if you don't. I've also joined the group, the Telegram group that you all have for ZK and Privacy Bootcamp. So if you think of anything, feel free to ping me there. Otherwise, I'll see you all, or I'll see some of you in Argentina.
Great. Also,
Okay.
Steph, we thank you a lot for your time to be here to share your knowledge. I am sure we will try nilGPT and we make you advice about the tech and to advise the UX and more.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, Gears, for being here, and we will continue to talk in the chat. And see you soon in Argentina.
Sounds good. See ya.
Bye bye. Thank you.